Picture it. It's 2 a.m. A major client presentation is at 9, and you need a single, usable marketing mockup. But your legacy AI tools keep spitting out melting text, subjects whose faces morph from frame to frame, and even shadows that ignore basic physics. Frustrated, this unreliability turned earlier generators into a game of chance, a digital slot machine that couldn't be trusted with a professional deadline. Google's Nano Banana Pro attempts to end that cycle by integrating the Gemini 3 architecture into the creative process. The engine functions as a reasoning system. It calculates the logic of the scene and the physical relationships of the objects before it ever generates a pixel. Replacing random generation with deliberate reasoning is the technical shift that allows AI to finally enter a structured, professional production pipeline. To see the impact of that reasoning, look at the first stage of a professional workflow, the research and strategy behind an infographic. If you ask for a poster explaining fractional distillation or a product breakdown, the tool researches the hardware specs and scientific steps independently, rather than relying on the user to provide every detail. This diagram shows the system building an internal logic, mapping spatial geometry and factual relationships as a wireframe before adding the visual shell. This pre-planning ensures components are in the right order and labels are factually accurate. Because the model understands basic physics and logic, it eliminates the hours of manual fact-checking and revision cycles that used to stall creative teams. The next stage of the workflow involves applying strict brand identity to a product mockup. By ingesting professional brand guidelines, the system can follow instructions for exact hex color codes and font families found in uploaded documentation. The result is a photorealistic mockup where the typography is crisp, legible, and curves naturally with the physical shape of the packaging. That same rendering capability allows for instantaneous translation, reformatting the entire design into multiple languages while maintaining the original layout. Reliable text rendering allows these outputs to move directly into final production, removing the need for manual design corrections or font overlays. The final stage of production addresses the most difficult challenge in AI, maintaining character identity across different campaign assets. Using this portrait as a reference, we can establish a precise baseline for the character's facial geometry. We can then take that character and place him in an executive office or a detailed storyboard, keeping the facial traits identical across every generation. The engine calculates how light should naturally fall on that specific face within each new environment, maintaining DSLR-level realism. These assets are generated at a production-ready 4K resolution, making them viable for anything from web ads to high-end print. Passed into VO3, the character settles into the chair with realistic fabric physics and cinematic lighting matching the original generation. Locking character identity across stills and video allows a solo creator to execute a multi-channel campaign with the same fidelity as a full-scale studio. Accessing these professional features does require an API, and the cost per generation is roughly 10 times higher than the hobbyist models you might be used to. However, this chart shows that compared to traditional studio production, the long-term operational cost is much lower because it eliminates stock photography fees and designer hours. This economic shift means that small agencies now have the same technical leverage as massive firms. Employers are already adjusting their expectations based on these efficiencies, which changes the baseline for what counts as a professional turnaround time. But elite technology is only an advantage if you have a structured professional strategy to deploy it. The team at addismichael.com specializes in building that strategy, from CV revamps to website design and interview preparation specifically for this new market. Click the link in the description to explore those resources. Combining these advanced AI tools with a clear career strategy is the only way to